What's up, people? Chef here, coming at you with my Nats deck profile. I didn't do very well at my first Nats. I went X4-1. We'll get into my matchups and stuff in a moment. When I played ABCs, of course. We ran 3A, 3B, and 3C. I was testing with 2C for a while, but I'm running desires, and I kept on banishing two of the 2Cs, like if I didn't get it in my opening hand. So I ended up just going with the third C. And it worked out better for me because there were a couple instances where I banished 2Cs. So yeah. Then we had Triple Ash. This one's self-explanatory. Every time I had it, hit what it needed to hit. Was not the best hand trap, though, in the deck. Next was Draw and Lock. This one underperformed. I got it off a couple times, but it didn't really do much because they just kind of, on their next turn, they just did their play again. Now we get to one of the major reasons why I did so poorly, other than I missed playing. Like, I played really badly this weekend. Gamma. And the 1-0 driver. So after round 1, because in round 1 I opened driver twice. After round 1, I made a driver counter. Throughout the tournament on day 1, I opened driver 14 times. 14 times I opened him. That's insane. It's actually crazy. And I only drew Gamma in tournament. I only drew him 4 times. 4 times I drew Gamma. 14, 4. This card came in more use to me than Gamma did. It actually won me a match on its own because I was playing against Mech Knight, Skystriker Mech Knight, and they just didn't have it out to the driver because the Mech Knights aren't more than 2,500, and he ended up having to Gamma Seal my driver because he couldn't deal with the 2,500 vanilla Summon Skull, but he could deal with the Gamma Seal. So he Gamma Sealed my driver so he wouldn't lose. And then in the next game, he dropped raw spear mode on my ABC pieces, which I was like, okay. I don't know why. I get all the effects off, but okay. And then I attributed raw spear mode to summon driver, and he couldn't Widow Anchor it because it has no effect. So yeah. Driver was more clutch and won me more games than Gamma did. In fact, Gamma, I only got to summon Omega once all tournament, I believe. No, twice. Twice all tournament. And the first time I did was halfway through the tournament, and I was so in shock that I actually got it off that I ended up misplaying horribly, and I did not summon the Omega back to my field. And had I done that, I actually would have won. But yeah. So that was an awful misplay, and I never want to run Gamma again. Because I opened driver 14 times, and then I opened him 3 additional times the next day during side events, and didn't open Gamma once. Next up, we had 2 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. I actually don't think I drew this once all tourney. Yeah. 2 Valor. This card was crazy. Every single time I drew it, it put in work, did what it had to do. It's basically additional Ash Blossoms. It's really good. But yeah, it like hits like Kigari, it hits Marauding Captain, it hits Suprex. There's so much that's actually susceptible to Valor right now. It's actually crazy. Even in like the Altergeist matchup, and there's really just no matchup where Valor isn't just really freaking good right now. And we have 3 Union Hanger, best card in the deck. 3 Terraforming, second best card in the deck, because it gets you to your best card in the deck. Engage. This card was really good as well all day. That one was pretty self-explanatory. Full engine here with the Horny Drones. I like them a lot better than I like the gadgets. They can't be valored, and they get you way more advantage, but we all know about the Skyshaker stuff. We don't need to go into that in detail. 2 Desires. I actually opened double Desires twice, and desired into Desires twice, so, and both times I desired into Desires, the other card was fucking Driver. So, yeah. So when I said 14 times I opened Driver, that's not the only times I had Driver. I repeatedly drew him as well, just all day long. But yeah, Desires. I got it off actually a lot, and when it I got it off well more times than it hurt me. Never had any bad banishes. I actually typically have very good luck with Desires and banishing. Yeah. And then 3 evenly matched. Across all 3 days, I only drew this card twice. And both times I drew it, it outright won me the game. It's a win con in and of itself. It's crazy. Definitely wouldn't change it. Would definitely main deck 3 of them. They are crazy good. Yeah. So that's the main deck. 40 cards. Then you got the extra here. 3 ABC Dragon Busters. The 1 Omega that we summoned twice, and then one of the times we summoned him, we completely forgot that he existed. Yeah. The 1 Link Karibo. I actually summoned this once in when I was going towards time so that I can negate an attack. I wasn't maliciously slow playing or anything. It was just the game was just really long. We were in game 3. That was the only time I believe I summoned him, though. Borreload, I summoned him twice. Both times he ended up doing fuck all. The 1 Electromite, I only faced 1 Pendulum Edition, and I didn't open Reaper because I didn't draw Reaper at all. 1 Double Helix, never faced any Spiral. 1 Isolde, never drew the Reaper, so against my 1 Goki matchup, I did not actually get to do that. Nightmare Goblin, I only used his additional effect to normal summon like 1 time, but he was very useful just as something to fodder into. Like if I needed to go into a Link 2 to get the B engrave, to get the last piece, and then go into a another, like a higher one, like a, unicorn or something, to pitch the last piece. That's really what he's there for. And he did his job. Phoenix, popping back row all day. I wish I could run more of him, but I don't really have the space. He basically just power creeps Diamond Direwolf entirely. Nightmare Unicorn. So the number of times I actually summoned this and shuffled himself away because I had to go first is really funny. Just so that I can make the Buster. And then every time I did it, I also summoned him again later in the game to get rid of something. So Unicorn was actually really good all day. The one mermaid, in case they ever iblied me. Or just because, so like you'd go into the next card, right? Clara, who can only be summoned during main phase 2 with a normal summon set monster. So you'd like make Clara in main phase 2 after like evenly them, and then you'd go into like Goblin, and then you'd go Goblin like into Mermaid so that you have a link arrow pointing down so that you can summon the Buster. Clara was the second most important card in the extra, but I think I only ended up summoning her like 3 times actually because I just was never drawing evenly at all. So, last card in the extra is Kagari, just the one of. I was running 2 of this. I ended up taking it out for I believe it was Electromite actually, but we never drew the Reaper, so we're gonna set aside 3 shared ride for going first against like Gokis or like Sky Striker, Trickstar Sky Striker, every time I drew it, it got ashed, so and I only drew it once. 2 Twin Twisters, only drew it 1 time in the whole event. But the 1 time that I did draw it, it was super clutch and it won me the game. So, 2 Magic Deflector, only drew it once, and it ended up not doing anything in that instance. Triple Anti-Spell and 4th Anti-Spell, and these are actually 5th and 6th Anti-Spells. So yeah, we only drew Anti-Spell 1 time. We never drew Imperial Order. Well, actually, the 1 time we drew Anti-Spell, we drew double Anti-Spell. And it was a total brick. And I just normal summoned C. and then flipped Anti-Spell. And just kept attacking for 1200 over and over again. It was a very slow game. And I couldn't top deck anything for my life. I top decked Driver, and then I top decked Gamma. And I couldn't use it because I had a piece on board. But, double Mind Crush, only drew it once, all tournament, and I had no cards in hand, and it was like the end of the duel, so yeah. And now the MVP of the whole tournament, Double DD Crow. This card is insanity. It is so good. The only deck it doesn't hit is Pendulum Magician. And every deck that it does hit, it's just like, it completely ruins them. Like like Gokis go to extend into with their Goki rematch, and you ask for the targets, and you just DD Crow one of the targets, and they don't get it off, and their turn just ends. Yeah. You can hit the reincarnation. You can preemptively hit like the Lycaris and Grave so they can't get it back with Lilybell if you know they're going to do that. You can't do it in damage step. So like drop it on like attack declaration. They can still get like a different Trickstar from Grave, but they're not getting the Lycaris, and that's what matters. Yeah. And it's even good against Altergeist, like hitting the Marionette target, hitting the Manifestation target. Every single time I drew this card, it put in so much work. It's not even funny. I wish I main decked it. I sided it in basically every single game, and every single game that I drew it, I won. It hits the, like when they go into like Hikari and they pick their target and you just DD Crow it, and they don't get it, and they lose a spell engrave. And there was one instance where they went to like attack me with Hikari, and I had I believe it was an A with like a B attached to it, so they went with their 2000 attack Hikari to attack it. And I DD Crow'd the last one of the 4 spells in Grave to make the Kigari 19, so it crashed into the A, but the A had the B attached to it, so I ended up getting the C and making Buster next turn. This card was crazy. I wish I main decked it. I really do. So, what would I have changed? I wouldn't have run Gamma. That's for sure. So I'd take the Gammas and the drivers out, and I'd probably, like, main deck DD Crows. Maybe like, 3 DD Crows or 2 DD Crows and a Desires, and then I don't know, maybe 3rd Valor, or just do 3 DD Crows and Desires. Definitely would have liked to have the other Desires, although I did draw Desires a lot and I was resolving it like every time. I also ashed, like, so many Desires. I should have made a Ashing Desires counter as well. But, yeah. So, tournament report, though, for Nats. Had a great time. It was a lot of fun, even though I didn't do well. I got my mat and everything like that. I really love these sleeves, by the way. For one, they're purple, which is probably my favorite color. I go back and forth on it in blue. But, everyone I faced was super nice. I did get maliciously slow-played in one side event, which was really brutal. And I couldn't even, like, call over the judge. Like, I was calling over the judge, but he was, like... I felt bad for him because he was, like, being called over by so many different people, and he was, like, the one judge in charge of, like, 5 different side events. So he's, like, 4 tables away, and people are still calling him over. Yeah. I'm gonna talk about the time rules in another video. I didn't want to make a video talking about them until after I went to an actual big tournament with them. Basically everything that I thought was confirmed by it. Every loss that I had was to time, as well as my draw was also to time, and every single one of them, except for one, was in a situation where had it been the old time rules, I would have won. No question, would have won. Yeah. The one time where that was not the case was when I forgot about the Omega. And that was entirely my own fault. Had I remembered the Omega, I would have had the last card to make the Phoenix, and I would have dealt the damage I needed to do. But yeah. I was definitely nervous all day, and I feel like that played a really big role, as well as I didn't have a ton of testing versus anything other than pure Sky Striker, because the only person in my test group was playing pure Sky Striker, and I didn't end up facing any pure Sky Striker, so yeah. And Gamma was amazing in testing. Never drew the driver, like, ever in testing. And got it off every game. Made Omega, knocked the card from his hand. And then in the actual tournament, just drawing driver 14 times. So, yeah, we're taking out driver, boys. And then, peace, people. See you next year.